Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm doing one of my favorite types of videos to watch. It is a products I put pan on video, so basically it's just a big compilation of all the pans currently in my collection, which I love. I mean, if you don't keep up with people's project pans or pan that palettes or those types of things, it's just like a quick and easy video to watch and you are basically up to speed on what they all have pan on. So I know people kind of do this differently, like some people only do like new pans they've hit since they've done their last video. I'm gonna do like all the pans I currently have because most of the time when I finish something I like get rid of it, so I don't typically have a lot of repeat pans. Most likely eyeshadow will be the most repeated item in this little array of products. So let's start with face products first because I feel like they're more interesting because they're harder to hit pan on, but then we'll talk about eyeshadow and just other products at the end. Okay, so I actually have two face powders. One I've talked about in an empties, one will be in an upcoming empties. So first is the Wet n Wild Cover All Press Powder. This was in the shade Fair Light. It is completely empty, as you can see. And I actually am keeping this compact, even though it's like incredibly dirty. I am keeping this compact because if I ever need to repress a different type of powder, it's like the perfect compact to do it. Or if I want to make like a Franken blush or Franken eyeshadows or anything like that, I just feel like this is a really good pan to do that in. So that is why I kept this specific compact. Then the other Wet n Wild powder I finished is the Photo Focused Press Powder. This is in the shade Neutral Buff. Here's what the outside looks like. Here's what the inside looks like. So this is actually a baked powder formula. And so as you can see, like in those holes, like there is kind of product, but I don't know how you get that product out of there, honestly. Since this is a baked product, I knew I couldn't like repress it into this packaging specifically. I thought maybe I would repress it into this packaging, but like I had to wait till my empties and I was literally almost done with this. So basically I used it with a brush until it was on this last ring right here. Don't know if you can see that, but that last ring. I used it with a brush until then, and then once it was at that and nowhere else, I used like the tool I used to break up products with, like when I repress them. It is like a little spatula type device. I actually used that, and like every day when I used my face powder, I just like crushed up a little bit of it so it was kind of like a loose powder, and then just like swirled my brush around in this, even like swirled my brush around in the cap to make sure there wasn't like any big powder chunks like on my face in the end, so it, you know, really got into the brush. And I actually used it all up that way. Like if you can see on this side, it's kind of like scraped away. That's because I actually like crushed it up every time I used it, like broke a little piece off, and that worked. I was trying to like get some advice if I could repress this and I didn't get any, so I didn't want to do it. So I mean, that's just how I kind of figured out a way around it because I didn't know what else to do. I knew I was so close to finishing it. So, and I really do like this powder. But honestly, with Wet n Wild going through all that stuff with like their cruelty-free status and like lying about selling in China, I'm just like very uncomfortable with the brand right now. So I just am not really cool with all that. So anyways, the next product, it's my bronzer, blush, and highlight. These are all in my project pan. I'll actually start with my highlight because I have repressed this since my project pan update. So there's like a sliver of pan like at the bottom there. There used to be more, but I repressed this like right after my project pan update. I'll link my project pan update in the cards so that you can see it if you're interested. It honestly had like a very big pan in it because this is such a small compact. So I know it doesn't have pan right now. I mean, it technically does, like if you can see the metal. Oh my gosh, I feel like this is so dumb. Okay, it like technically does if you can see the metal like at the bottom of the pan, but I mean, I repressed it. That's why there's not a big pan in it. But I wanted to mention it because I did hit a massive pan in this. If you don't believe me, watch my project pan update because I did. Next, very exciting item I've hit pan in is my Tarte Party Blush. Look at that. Very exciting. Honestly, this pan's not that big. Like, my pan in the highlighter was bigger than this pan right here. But this product, I feel like, moves very, very slowly, which I feel like everybody who had this in a project pan last year was like, oh, this was like the easiest blush to pan. And it's taking me for freaking ever. But I have panned it officially. I do want to finish this before the end of the year. That's my goal with the blush, or with this blush, the highlight, and the bronzer I'm going to show next. It's my goal to finish all three of them. So I think I can finish this by the end of the year. It's getting thinner. Every day it's getting thinner. So after a while I will repress it, but I mean, there's no need to repress it right now. Like, there's still plenty of product around and I can get plenty on my brush. So we'll see about that. And then my NARS Laguna is the bronzer that I'm working on and have pan in. This actually has a pretty big pan. But this area at the top here is still pretty thick, in my opinion. Up here it's pretty thin, but like this whole like up like side over here, it feels pretty thick. So I don't want to necessarily focus on this end too much. I want to kind of start focusing on this end to really wear down the product more evenly. I'm sure this product represses fine. I've seen people have it in their project pans and repress it, so I'm sure it represses fine. But I don't want any pieces like breaking off or anything necessarily. This is one of my favorite bronzers, so I'm trying to get like enjoy it the whole time I'm using it. But yeah, I mean, I do want to finish it before the end of the year, so yeah, I think I'm doing pretty good so far. One quick little item I have had in these videos in the past, because it's had panned for over a year now, is my Rimmel Brow This Way. You really can't even read like the branding across the front of it, but you can definitely see the pan. So this is the powder side of the product, which is what I have pan in. It's like the perfect shade for my brows. Honestly, brow powders last forever and I do enjoy it. And I don't know if I enjoy it more than a pencil, because I feel like if you accidentally like wipe your brow or anything, the powder just kind of goes away, versus if you use a pencil, I feel like it sticks to your skin more. So I don't know. I like powders, but I don't know if they'll be my solution going forward. I would prefer to buy a cheap brow powder though, because I can't imagine spending a ton of money on a brow powder and like not getting through it like that. I don't know if that seems worth it to me, but I could change my mind, I guess. Okay, one of my newer palettes with pan in it is my Wet n Wild Walking on Eggshells Quad. This was in my last Pan That Palette update. I actually have two pans right here, as you can see, and they're actually a decent amount, I think. So this shade is actually pretty thin all the way across, and then this one, it's not very thin at all, but it definitely has a big dent where the pan is. That's a pretty big pan for that dark of a color. This shade's obviously very easy for transition, and this one I actually used for like liner and in my outer corner. So yeah, I really like this quad. Again, with Wet n Wild and the whole situation they're in, I don't really feel that great, but I just rolled this out of my Pan That Palette project, so I'm not like actively working on it or anything. It's kind of just sitting in my drawer, which is fine with me right now. Like, I really don't want to use it and think about it. I just want to use other things right now. And then I'm not sure which of these next items I have the most recent pans on, because I'm likely have shown all these before in a products I've hit pan on video, but I'm going to talk about Modern Renaissance. So I have 5 pans: Tempera, Golden Ochre, Vermeer, Raw Sienna, and Burnt Orange. So here is what they look like. Hopefully you can see them all. Yeah, this end of the palette, not looking that great, but this is actually in my current Pan That Palette project. This is what I rolled in place of the Wet n Wild one. And I am working on like Buon Fresco, this darker shade, and Warm Taupe right there. So hopefully in my Pan That Palette update, I'll have some more pan showing, and even in my next video of this, I'll have some more. I know this palette shadows don't last very long. Like Anastasia shadows tend to go bad quickly, or maybe it's specifically this Modern Renaissance palette. I'm not positive, but I do really like this palette, so I want to get the use out of it that it deserves before it goes off. I mean, look at the packaging even. Like, it's super faded. It honestly probably looks better on camera than it does in person because it's like faded like blue, kind of. It's super weird. I don't know. Who said yes on this velvet packaging? Like, yeah, it's super pretty when you take it out of the package, but like, if you use your palette at all, it's destroyed. It's absolutely destroyed. So let's talk about my last palette before we talk about singles. So this is the Tarte Man-Eater palette. 3 pans in this one. The shades are Meow, Passion, and Purr. Is this like a cat? Oh, Man-Eater, sorry. They had a different one that was a cat. I don't know why I said that. Yes, there are the 3 pans, those top 3 shades. That white pan might be kind of hard to see. I really, really love this palette. I just wish this shade was a matte shade, and honestly, this palette would be perfect. It would be my all-time favorite palette if that shade was a matte shade. But yeah, I do really, really enjoy this palette. It's the perfect size for anything. Like, if you want to go somewhere, it's perfect size, perfect for work. Every day, you can even get like really smoky out here with these outer, like darker shades. Honestly, Tarte, this was like one of the best palettes they ever did, in my opinion. And it was like limited edition, and they actually brought it back. I think that's, you know, shows that it's very popular. Oh, and the shadows, Tarte shadows smell super good. They smell like sweet, like cake almost type of smell. I don't know if you've ever smelled a Tarte shadow, you know what I'm talking about. I don't know if it's all of them, because I feel like I've had Tarte shadows that maybe haven't smelled, but this palette is definitely one that smells, and I like it. Okay, so lastly, I only have this mini palette of singles that I have pan in, and I'm sure most of these are from my pan that palette. Trying to not get that and Project Pan mixed up is very difficult. I'm pretty sure most of these I've probably talked about before. Both of these shadows right here are both Beaches and Cream by Makeup Geek. Do they look slightly different in the camera? Maybe they do, because I feel like they kind of do now that I'm looking at them. But they're the same shade, allegedly. They're the same shade. Ideally, I wanted to hit a big enough pan in both of these to repress them into one shadow. As you can tell, I still haven't done that, and I haven't used these in like a very, very long time since I have hit pan on them. I've just been like putting those shadows away because I've been trying to focus on other singles, so don't know if I'll get to doing that, but maybe someday. My next 2 little set of shadows, these are both browns. This one's Creme Brulee, and this one is Bake Sale, both from Makeup Geek again. Perfect transition shades, so of course I have pan in both of them. Yeah, not really hard to do on a transition shade, in my opinion. The Makeup Geek singles do have a little bit more product, though, than like a shadow and a palette, so it is a little bit more difficult, but not too bad. These are my more like little pinky toned ones. So this one is Luna from the mini MUA and Makeup Geek palette, and if you can see it right there up in the corner, just like a little sliver of pan there. This one is Makeup Geek Cupcake right here, and this is like a super powdery formula, so I think that is what aided me in hitting pan on this guy so fast, because when I put it in my Pan That palette, it was pretty fresh, like I hadn't used it a ton, but it does kind of have a lot of kick up. But yeah, that's Cupcake from Makeup Geek. Very beautiful transition shade again, so I think that kind of aided to it. Okay, sorry, I was interrupted just a bit, but I am back, so hopefully I am relatively in the same spot I was before. So I believe I was talking about this Makeup Geek Luna shade. It's very cracking. I don't know if you can see this, but like a lot of pieces have kind of like chipped and fell off of it. Hopefully it's focusing on the shadow and nothing around it. So I think I'm gonna have to start using this a bit more and then try and repress it, just so I can save it a little bit longer. But I feel like if I don't repress it and like add some alcohol to it, it's just going to continue to keep cracking and falling, pieces keep falling off of it. So that's my plan with that one. Again, it just kind of lives in my collection with my other pan shadows because I am working through that whole project this year. So that is all I have for the products I hit pan on. I always feel like I have a ton more, but I don't. I tried really hard this time to like not actually get rid of anything that I hit pan on, so I don't think I missed anything, whereas in some past updates I know I had thrown the product away, like if I had finished it or if I decluttered it before I did this video, so then it was kind of pointless. But yeah, I think that's everything. I'm hoping that before the next time I do this video, I don't know if I'm doing them every 6 months or every 3 months, I'm not exactly positive, but hopefully I have one of the face products finished, either the blush, the bronzer, or the highlight, and I'm even working on some new facial products and maybe have pan in. That's a pretty lofty goal, but hopefully I at least have one of those done. That would make me very excited. And some more eyeshadows. I'm always, of course, wanting to pan eyeshadows because they're easier, and I need to work through my eyeshadow collection. It's the biggest in my collection currently, so it's definitely something I need to work through. So those are my goals for the next time during this update. But yes, that's all I have for today. I hope you have a great rest of your night, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.